Welcome to Unit 2, which covers the history of ancient and early medieval South Asia. This video will introduce some geography, show you the basic outline of this history, and explain the assignments. Let's first review India's geography. Note, however, that India can mean different things. Today, India usually designates the modern nation of India, which was established in 1947. In ancient times, however, India referred to all South Asia or the Indian subcontinent. When used in this sense, India can mean the territory where today's India, Pakistan, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Maldives are located. Large natural boundaries define this subcontinent. To the east lies the Bay of Bengal, to the south the Indian Ocean, and to the west the Arabian Sea. The largest mountain range is the Himalaya, which defines India's northern boundary. A sub-range of the Himalaya, the Hindu Kush, sits at its western end. The Sulimal Range and Kurthar Range complete what might seem like impassable barriers. Yet these ranges are punctuated by a few narrow passes that connect India to Central Asia and West Asia. To the south of the mountain ranges lie the Indo-Gangetic Plain and the two great rivers of northern India that comprise it, the Indus River and the Ganges River. These rivers originate in the Himalaya and drain into the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal, respectively. Because they could support large populations, the plains surrounding these river systems served as the heartland for India's first major states and empires. Much of the early history covered here transpired on the Indo-Gangetic Plain. But peninsular India is also an important part of the story because over time, great regional kingdoms emerge in the south. The long coastlines on both sides of the peninsula are important to India's history because it linked it with the rest of Afro-Eurasia. This chapter covers the ancient and early medieval history of India, which stretches over 3 millennia, so a great deal of history is covered in it, which is why this chapter is one of the longer ones in our book. We will take some time to read. The slides show an outline of 7 major periods covered in our book. It also shows you 2 maps, one of the Mauryan Empire, which is the first empire in India's history, and the first state to unify most of the continent. The other map shows India during the ensuing period of regional states. Keep in mind that for the most part, during these 3,000 years, India was not unified, but rather divided up by a mosaic of kingdoms governing diverse peoples. Although the Asian subcontinent sees a long succession of kingdoms and empires, and was usually divided up into fragments at any particular point in its history, people over time came to share some things in common. Socially, the peoples of India were largely organized by a caste system. Culturally, the peoples of India shared in the development of Hinduism and Buddhism, 2 major religious traditions that shaped people's understanding of the world and their place in it. Finally, throughout the ancient and medieval periods, India flourished as a civilization because of its dynamic economy. The peoples of India shared in that too, and that meant they were linked in networks of trade and exchanged not only with other parts of South Asia, but also the neighboring regions of Afro-Eurasian world. Now, let's consider the assignments for Unit 2. Please remember to check your calendar and the activities under Unit 2 in Content to see what your instructor has assigned and when those assignments are due. Those may include a quiz, discussion, and essay. First, let's consider the quiz. The quiz consists of multiple choice questions, and your instructor will decide how much time to give you. To prepare, take the time to read Chapter 3 carefully. Also, pay special attention to the terms highlighted in bold. Learning about ancient India from a Jataka tale. For the discussion, if assigned by your instructor, you are asked to read a Jataka tale called The Great Dream. Jatakas are stories about the former lives of Siddhartha Gautama, the historical Buddha about which you have read in Chapter 3. In these stories, which originated in ancient India, the Buddha appears in various roles, such as an animal or king, and through his words and deeds offers a moral lesson and social commentary, giving us insight into ancient India's society and culture. To prepare, make sure that you have read Chapter 3 in your textbook and the Jataka tale provided in required learning materials. Following, in about 2 or 3 paragraphs, explain the lesson or lessons the story is trying to convey, and on that basis, examine the author's social commentary. For instance, what can we learn about the author or author's opinion of Brahmins, gender roles, and the signs of society in decline? Also, in a paragraph, comment on 2 of your classmates' posts. For the essay, if assigned by your instructor, you are asked to explain the origins and development of the Mauryan Empire. To do so, first read Chapter 3, especially sections 3.7 to 3.9, and also the article Biography of Chandragupta Maurya, founder of the Mauryan Empire. Introduce the topic of the Mauryan Empire, considering its importance to the history of India. Following, construct a historical narrative that takes the reader from the long Vedic age through the transition to empire to the Mauryan Empire. Be sure to include discussion of chronology and geography so that the reader has a clear sense as to when and where these events take place. Lastly, provide a conclusion. The essay should be roughly 750 words long. Refer to the guidelines for writing assignments for additional writing assignment criteria, such as how to cite sources. Lastly, proofread. Once you have completed the writing assignment, submit it to the assignment Dropbox.